I could pull a better podcast out of my head. Hey, kids, welcome to the Tempest Universe.
China.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
It's China to me, China.
Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside.
China.
This is the Tempest Universe, man. Hold on to your ass. You're in for a hell of a ride.
Welcome to the Monday edition of the podcast. This is the one and only Tempest Universe. I'm your host, Manny. And man, you know, every year, hold on, let me turn this down a little bit. Every year I go through this thought process. Is this the last year for the podcast? Because it really, when you look at the numbers, it's just not trending fast enough. It really isn't. It's been quite a few years under the belt already. And while I enjoy interacting with all the folks that I do and all the messages I get here and there, you got to kind of reach a wider audience in order to have the impact that you want it to have, you know. And mine was wanting to spread the idea that UFO, aliens, and stuff like that was not so bad, not such a bad thing to be a part of in conversation, but also that it is a blue-collar person that has the most to say. Not scientists, not the military, not the government. It's the regular guy, the one that actually experiences most of these things and are turned away because they're wackadoo, or they've lost their last marble. But the breaking news is that on FeedSpot, the best 30 UFO podcasts right now out there, UFO Buster Radio still ranking. Moved up to number 4. Tempest Universe at number 12 out of 30. That's exciting news. That gives me energy to continue for at least another year or two, to be honest. Maybe by then, we'll have some real progress, right? Maybe we'll have some real data, because now everybody's going to science. Maybe they could give it to us. Maybe they can figure it out to where us blue-collar folks can actually, you know, take it in layman's terms, what UFOs really are. But until then, we'll have stories, crazy, wild stories from all over the world to talk about, to hear people and what they do, kind of like last week. Thanks, Bugs. Last week's stories, they were wild. Betty and Barney. Let me tell you, Betty and Barney abduction story. While I had a good time talking about it, listen, those tapes, those recordings of them going under hypnosis and reliving the incident, those are scary-ass tapes, man. You could hear the fear. Either they're the best actors in the history of mankind that were never really discovered, or they really went through some serious shit down there. I mean, the fear and their voice trembling as they went through the entire incident. I only had a small piece of it. It was just Barney's version. There's more to that. There's also more to Betty's version. And when I tell you, they were scared shitless throughout the entire encounter. And, you know, years following after that. With things like that, it kind of makes me wonder why people, you know, these days think about that, or kind of say that ufology is like a religion. Those people did not have a religious experience. I can tell you that much. If it is, it's the wrong damn religion. Then there's those people that say, lately, because the government's involved, that ufology is going to become a new form of politics. I can believe that. I could see that becoming, something for people to stand on as a topic, as they try to get votes. The more this gets popular, and the more people are interested in it. But again, that's another topic that won't go nowhere, not even in politics, because they're going to lie to you either way. And we know they've been lying to us from the beginning. So why fuck around? Don't vote for them. Not one bit. Don't even think about it. It's a waste of your time. We're going to get this episode started. But again, I wanted to start it initially just by thanking everyone that listened. And listen, we appreciate every one of you. And we hope to continue the next couple of years and making some moves up that ladder. Because, hey, nowhere to go but up. Now, for those of you who have been saying, hey, now since we are up in the ranks, we're going to have better music. Hell no. You're going to have the same damn shit I always play. So check this one out.
I look the other way. I don't see how it's got anything to do with me. Oh, hurry, I need my beat. At any expense, it doesn't make sense. But every cell in my body eats its protein. Oh, grass is only for cows and rabbits that don't know how to kill and conquer, to win and rule. Oh, it's what we learn at school. We don't worry about seas. We recycle and sort by source. We've banned all plastic straws, quit smoking. Oh, every paycheck we get, 10% is donated to clean our conscience, and it works out great. Why should we change? Sleep less, be more efficient. Come on, perform better, climb higher, educate away. I am all my degrees, my masters. Hey, look at me, I am somebody. It's what I've learned at carbon dioxide. My conclusion is that it's all a lie. Our guns are mine, we're not smart, we will survive. We've got technology, it's not a lie, we will survive. The seas are thriving, we will get by, it's not a lie.
Now, I don't know how many of you follow sports, especially basketball. I can't say there's ever been a time where I actually sat down and watched an entire basketball game, to be honest. Now, I've been to basketball games, back in when I lived in New York, over in the Meadowlands, but I've never watched it on TV, even the playoffs. I don't know. For some reason, I like watching hockey, but not basketball. But this story actually comes out of 2010. Believe it or not, 12 years ago, Manu Ginobili, apparently he was a legendary member of the San Antonio Spurs, actually right here in Washington. Yeah. See, that's what's happening right now. Actually here in San Antonio. So this guy, who was beloved by all of his folks on the team, and actually, apparently the fans, had a UFO incident back in 2010, December. Now, recently we had all these pop stars and other actresses and actors coming out talking about their UFO experiences, reporting all their sightings and, communicating with ET. They don't like the term alien. They'd rather do extraterrestrial. That's what that individual said. But it turns out, it's not something that just happened recently. It's not something that's a contemporary situation when it comes to people who are famous. It's an ongoing thing, right? It's something that happens to everyone, regardless of whether you're rich as hell or you're poor as fuck. If you're going to see a UFO, you're going to see it. Plain and simple. It turns out that in December of 2010, Ginobili was somewhere in Los Angeles, and in the sky he saw something which he couldn't explain. He says it was so weird, and at the time he reported it to Epoch Times, which came out of the Bleacher Report. All you guys who are into sport, that should be familiar to you. He says, and this is a quote of what he reported, he said he wasn't sure. He did believe there was an Air Force base northwest of where they were. He says it was supposed to be some space shuttle landing. The good thing is I'm not the only one who saw it. That's what got me saying, okay, I'm not crazy. He says it was a pretty strange flight pattern. He thought what he saw was that it was falling and not landing. But he says, hey, it wasn't a big deal. He kind of shrugged it off. He says, it's not like I said it's an extraterrestrial life in Santa Monica. I don't care. I saw something weird. There is a thing with folks that actually believe. Those that are really true believers, they understand the stigma, right? And especially in 2010, you knew you were going to get labeled something. And that's why he had all these other commentary about it. He believed. So as a believer, what most of you have come to experience is that the folks that have these situations, these sightings, these close encounters, they will go and they will research. They will look to find out what the hell it was that they saw. Especially somebody as popular as him, right? That's what you have to do. Well, actually, he put that out there, and then later on, a few days later, he went back to his Twitter, because, he couldn't let it go. Because he was shocked and amazed. He thought he really saw it. He really saw the actual thing. And when he went back, he posted on his Facebook that what he had seen was a kind of spacecraft called the X-37B. He says that the X-37B was supposed to be landing in the area around the time that he saw it. And so he says, you know what? I didn't find alien life. But he says it was extremely bizarre. Now, no, you just don't go around finding the X-37B wherever. But it turns out that he was actually right on the money, so I'm sure he researched it quite a bit. According to what I found in history, the X-37 first flew during a drop test in 2006, and it completed its first orbital mission after being launched in April of 2010 on an Atlas V rocket and then later returned in December of 2010, around the time that Ginobili had his sighting. And it is assumed, because I couldn't find exactly where it landed, but in his report he says that there was an Air Force base northwest of where he was, which was Los Angeles, and that would be Vandenberg Air Force Base, which coincidentally, right now, it's not called Vandenberg Air Force Base, it is Vandenberg Space Force Base. It's one of those bases that Space Force has now taken over. It is crazy, but it's more amazing for me the fact that he actually went back and did some homework. He had to study what the hell he saw. He had to figure it out. And if you don't know, the X-37 is like a mini space shuttle, which has broken quite a lot of records in orbit around our planet, and in fact has been up there testing autonomously experiments for the Air Force. So, who knows what it's figured out by then, but probably enough to actually say, hey, we could put some people up there now. We've got a Space Force. There's more to the article, especially if you like Ginobili. It's weird because I don't find that there's a lot of people who follow the topic of UFOs and actually are great sports fans. There's only like a handful. You don't get a whole bunch of them. But, okay, who the hell knows? Maybe this article will turn you around and you could put down the NFL playoffs, which, by the way, I blame coronavirus for all of it. Those last two playoff rounds, holy cow. Wuhan done fucked up again.
fucking scream at me?
Where's
you
the money?
Fuck you. Look at you with your fucking 48% body fat.
Brazil is back in the news thanks to Ronnie Vernet, who's a UFO researcher out of Brazil. Listen, you can't... there's one thing about these Brazil UFO encounters is that they're wild. They really are. They're like so wild. But check this out. Apparently between 2013 and 2016, freaking UFO alien visitors were going nuts on indigenous people in Brazil. That's a problem. Like, they can't do that now because Elon has given them Starlink, and now they know. Now they know. Besides Pornhub, they get Showtime and HBO. They know all about aliens. They're not even playing anymore. They've got the internet. Nothing is truer than what they can find on the internet, especially the stories about themselves. It turns out that Ronnie Vernet went to the Daily Star and he says, hey, I've got all this info because I filed Freedom of Information Act requests, right? And I got all this craziness from the Brazilian police. The cops in Brazil investigated these UFO encounters over those 3 years. And the guy, Ronnie, not to be mistaken with Dawson, Mr. 17, he retrieved out of that FOIA request more than 100 pages and 20 minutes of video from the Brazilian government. Isn't that crazy? My only thing is, when you say indigenous people, there's a lack of technology there, or understanding of technology. So we really don't know what they encountered. But whatever it was absolutely alien to them. So, I don't know. Now, 2013 to 2016, could it have been a drone? Probably not, right? I don't think there were any drones at that time that you can fly in to an indigenous area. A bunch of people there who are still wearing, leaves and stuff, and it be something you could work out from your little town. I don't think that's the way it worked down there. So there was something. Somebody was checking out these folks, and they were being extremely intrusive. They were going in. There was one report specifically that July 24th of 2014, there was some UFOs that were flying over a village, and they descended to about 7 feet off the ground, and they shot laser beams at the indigenous folks there, scaring the shit out of them, no less. There's a quote in here from one of the individuals that was in the community. And it goes like this. On the 24th of July, in the village, in the house of Ilda, this device came down at the height of 7 feet approximately from the ground with a very strong light, focusing on the faces of the people of the house, leaving them bewildered with the force of the light. If you're indigenous, you're not used to lasers. I mean, you ain't never seen that shit before. So shock and awe. The quote continues that people jumped scared out of the house, which led to one woman who was 3 months pregnant who miscarried. That's how scared they was. This thing, I mean, imagine like a freaking Close Encounters. You haven't seen aliens. Nobody talks about it. Nobody gets the Daily Star or any of those tabloid papers, so they have no idea. And all of a sudden, this device with some bright-ass lights invades your home. Yeah, you're jumping out of fucking windows. Hell yeah. You're jumping into the well. You don't give a shit. You're getting away. According to the people who actually witnessed what happened, they said that the light were in the colors of green and red and so strong, and these things were so fast and silent when they approached the house that no one in the village even realized they were there. They came in with very low lights, and all of a sudden they increased in intensity to the point where they can feel these lights. At this point, these folks were seeing the lights almost every night. They were coming to the village to start some shit up. Apparently, the reports indicated that these weird encounters with these UFOs with the bright green and red lights were happening very frequently through 2014. And they were even being reported by the police and the armed forces. They said by 2015, the visits continued to repeat, and an investigation was started by the Federal Public Ministry along with some researchers and anthropologists that they were being used to try to figure out what the hell is going on. Nuts. Completely nuts. Who could it have been? It could have been their own government. You know, sometimes you like want to observe people, the indigenous people, and you just don't want to disturb them, so you would send up a bunch of fucking drones. Meanwhile, they've never seen anything mechanical like that flying around. Now, part of the reports that's kind of interesting is the fact that they said that these things were silent. Now, we know drones today. The drones today, if they're 7 feet above the ground, they're loud as hell. They are not silent, not in any way. But apparently, these UFOs were. Now, why would a UFO aim a laser beam into someone's face? I mean, honestly, they've never seen like the Hitman show or Hitman games where people go around, you know, like sicarios going in shooting people with a little laser down on their heads. I mean, I'm sure if they knew that, they'd really freak the fuck out. But still, I think the fact that these folks were an indigenous tribe, that's why these things got away with it. And so everyone else was pretty perplexed about it. So this tribe was from the state of Acre and it's a border with Peru. And the first incident happened to the Campo de Ammonia indigenous tribe. So listen, from 2013 to 2016 is a long time to have all these tribes being tortured by these flying UFOs. But isn't that completely nuts? That you have police reports, you have reports that were taken by the armed forces, you have the government itself investigating, and still nothing. Unsolved mystery down in Brazil. I wonder if in 2022 we had that happen, let's say, in the middle of San Antonio, Texas, would the outcome be the same? Could a UFO that would fly around with that size, that silent, would it be able to get into someone's home? Well, hell, we can't say Texas. Everybody's armed. You know, even the 5-year-olds have weapons. Let's say like maybe somewhere in Illinois, maybe out there in the suburbs somewhere. You know, would these type of UFOs be able to get into maybe a farmhouse and do the same thing? I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. And I think the fact that these folks were indigenous folks that probably didn't have a whole lot of technology, that's the only reason they got away with it. The only reason. Hopefully, this information is 120 pages of documents that the Brazilian government had about these incidents and 20 minutes of video. Hopefully, they will be released sometime soon. I'm sure it's going to be a documentary somewhere on Netflix. But I sure would like to see these reports from these folks because they do interview some of the indigenous folks about their incidents. So it would be amazing to see. I'm kind of shocked that it's only 20 minutes, but yeah, well, they probably didn't have much to say about the issue. That's for sure. Check out the link in the description if you want to know a little bit more about this indigenous UFO rampage that happened in Brazil. Check this out.
I've been feeling lost. I've been feeling empty. I've been holding on to someone that really wasn't worth
NASA's at it again. There's a thing with NASA where it's okay to torture your astronauts because what the hell else are they going to do? You can't just have them just sitting around doing nothing, right? So let's torture them. I don't even know if these guys are all astronauts, to be honest. They're just they picked a bunch of people who submitted that they wanted to be a part of this. Of course, they had to qualify. One of the things is not be nuts. There is a simulated journey to Mars, or Mars's moon Phobos, that actually started last Friday at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. That's why, man, I get the heebie-jeebies every time I drive by Houston going down south. Because they could capture you at any time and throw you into one of these things, and no one will ever know. This volunteer crew is going to be inside of something they call the Human Exploration Research Analog, or HERA. H-E-R-A. That's the acronym. And these folks are going to be in there for 45 freaking days, simulating this trip. Wouldn't that drive you freaking nuts? It would drive me insane. The crew is Jared Broderick, Pietro Di Tilio, Dragos Michael Pepsiu, and Patrick Ridgely. At least that's one or two names there that weren't horrible. So the HERA, or the HERA, is designed to serve as an analog for rigorous space exploration missions. So this is where you kind of put them in, right? They go in there, and you give them 45 days to lose their shit. I mean, really. You're going to lose your shit in there, I promise you. Even if you're highly trained. Because if you look at the image for this episode, that's it. That little structure that you see on the picture, that's where they're going to spend 45 days together. In that little thing. It would drive me batty. Like, after a couple of days, I'd be out to kill somebody. Now, these four guys were seen on Friday entering the HERA structure. It's not going to be opened up again until March 14th. I imagine if one of them stabs the other guy, they're going to have to open it a little before that. Mission abort and all that kind of stuff. They'd have to give it up, right? Now, one of the things that it's going to simulate, because, it's not enough that you got to be in there with someone and they annoy the shit out of you after like 3 days. But it's going to simulate also the lag in communication between ourselves and a ship heading towards Mars. It's going to have a 5-minute communication delay. Can you imagine trying to find out from someone what the hell they ate for lunch and you got to wait 5 minutes for it? Like, that lunch better be damn good, or it's going to be so anticlimactic. And then your displeasure in what they give you is going to take 5 minutes to get back to them. It's torture. They literally are torturing them. I mean, I could see, like, Broderick. He's, like, sitting there, 5 minutes. He's asking his wife, what you do today? He's waiting for 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden... This is just after day 2. They just lose their shit. I mean, I'll go nuts. Yeah, I mean, if I have any kind of delay on my phone now, even if it's just like 2 seconds, I'm going to hurt somebody. So I can just imagine sitting there. Now, there's 4 of these campaigns, Operation Fuck With Their Heads, in the HERA. And this is actually the second one. There's 2 more planned. The next one is going to happen September 12th, 2022. And listen, with that new coronavirus that's out there, these guys are going to be protected. They'll be sealed away in this tin can until, they get out in March. So, hey, more power to them. They'll probably be the ones alive. That's when a zombie apocalypse is going to happen. While these 4 gentlemen are in there torturing each other, like punching each other for crazy dad jokes. Just losing it. That was my 5 minutes. You know, I just don't know. I would find it so torturous. But I would imagine. Sorry, let me just let them get over this. Yeah, Patrick won that round. I would imagine that NASA is going to do a lot of things to keep their minds busy. You know, because you remember back in the day they used to talk about space madness. This would be it. This would be it right here. At least they know they're not in space, right? So I think it'll be a little bit different for them. But for the people who are in the complete darkness of space trying to get to Mars, they're going to be kicking each other's ass after a while. I guarantee you. That's just I don't know. I don't know any test on this planet that's going to be able to substitute and really simulate being in the darkness of space with nothing around you. Like literally nothing. Now, if you can compare that to maybe some sailors out in a submarine somewhere, you probably could. Some of them do fine, I guess, but I'm sure there's a few that lose their shit as well. There's more to this story in the description. I wonder if anybody can run by and start throwing rocks at the Harras, see if we can scare them. But if you want to read more about it, check out the link in the description. We're headed to the last article for today.
I'll be saved by rock and roll. You can take my money, steal my car and sell my clothes. You can take the shoes I'm in, go on and take everything. You can have about everything I own. Just leave that old piano, chair, so I can sit down there and play when I'm old. Take all these things I know, even take the telephone. I heard it said so long ago. Well, I'll be saved by rock and roll. Well, I'll be playing I'll be praying on our knees, we'll bow our heads and raise our hands. It'll shake us by our soul and praise that rock and roll. You can have my home and have the yard. Just leave my one guitar and leave me here, and I can play until the day turns dark. Take all the TV shows, go on, take all I own, and I'll be fine. I'll sit right here and pick. By God, it's good to know. Well, I'll be saved by rock and roll. You can hear them playing every evening. You can hear them playing every day. They won't stop until they say someday we're all gonna be ringing that bell. One day we'll hear the sounds that can liberate us and take us out of hell. And come that day we see the end, we'll just start up some angel band, leave the world and all those things we fought down there so far below. Just bring my whole piano, maybe a chair, so I can sit up there, play every song I know. And go round up George and Harry, John and Jerry, gonna have ourselves a show. I heard it said so long ago. And I'll be saved by rock and roll. And I'll be saved by rock and roll.
You know, one of the things I said about the Tempest Universe is that we'll bring you some weird news from around the world. And not just cryptids, right? Because people are weird. People are weird. You know that. Look it to the left of you. Look it to the right of you. One of those is extremely weird, and the other one's a little weirder than you. That's the way it is. That's the weirdness of life. Somebody on Discord, the Tempest Universe Discord, link is in the description. Click it if you want to join. Get as Guardian, by the name of Dre, took that to heart. And he came across this article, which I don't even know if it's true. I just don't know. But it's really weird. This Russian guy, named Victor. Victor apparently decided he was going to be a robber for tonight. He was going to go and break into a hair salon. But sadly, for him, it turns out that the shop owner, Olga, well, she was a black belt in karate. She's seen a few of those Karate Kid films. So she beat his ass, knocked him out. So what does Olga do? Oh, she runs over and calls the cops. No, she does not. Because Olga, thanks to the Wuhan flu, is a lonely, lonely girl. The vodka's not enough. She grabs his knocked out butt, old Victor, drags him to the back, strips off his clothes, ties him up. And you would think that's the end of it. Now Olga's going to call the cops. No, she doesn't. No. That's not what Olga does. Olga runs over to the pharmacy. I'm ad-libbing here because it doesn't say it in the article, but she runs over to the pharmacy. She grabs herself a few bottles of Viagra. Yeah. Victor is in for a good time, whether he wants to or not. Victor apparently is forced to swallow Viagra pills because for the next 3 days, Olga made him into a sex slave to teach him a lesson, you know. I don't understand what lesson that was. I don't know what the lesson was there. Like, I think the lesson was, I just beat your ass. Hi, my name is Olga. 28, I kicked your butt. But the whole Viagra thing. So she made him into a sex slave for 3 days. And then she's like, you may go now. Her voice was probably a little deeper, I'm not sure. But she let him go. Now, Victor's violated, right? Forget about the idea that he was going to take advantage of this 28-year-old Olga. Now he feels like he's been violated. So he runs to the police. He's the one who goes to the cops, tells them his story. He lets them know what the hell happened in the back room of that salon, saying that he was a hostage, handcuffed, naked to the radiator, and fed only Viagra for. I mean, he must have still had a heart on him when he went to the police department. So there was evidence. I mean, if you're only eating Viagra for 3 days, it was probably another 6 days before his chub went down. I'm just saying. So when the cops decided to go talk to Olga, she was highly disappointed because they had sex a couple times, according to her, not that many. She purchased the guy a brand new pair of jeans, gave him food, and even 1,000 rubles for his troubles. This is the Tempest Universe we live in. This is how crazy we are. This all could be Wuhan, I'm telling you. This is a lot of Wuhan. It has Wuhan written all over it. Wuhan flew all the way. When a Russian woman has to resort to kicking your butt, knocking you out, giving you Viagra, because if vodka is not doing it anymore, we are living in a Tempest universe. That is just, it's something else. It really is. That's the story. Now, this story was published in the dailymail.uk. So, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if this really happened, but it's entertaining. I guarantee you shit like that happens somewhere, especially in Texas. Except it would be whiskey. I thank you guys for listening. This is the end of the podcast. If you want to read any of these articles yourselves for a 1 to 2 minute shitter moment, please check out the description, click on the link, and give them a read. I only give you a synopsis of it. If you want to get to the real story, check it out. I thank you guys for listening, and I appreciate you guys who have been listening for a while. Nowhere to go but up. Ciao.
I'm a selfish kind of person with a soul trying to fly. I aim to break the laws of nature and learn to love before I die. I was naked then, I am naked now. And my nakedness is my sole account. I'm unfaithfulness, I'm a fucking clown. But I tried my best, yes I tried. Even less when they go deep. In almost every situation, it's hard to tell if I'm for real. I was naked then, I'm naked now. And my nakedness is my sole account. I'm unfaithfulness, I'm a fucking clown. But I tried my best, yes I tried. I tend to be a shitty listener and always force my own beliefs. So come and try and light upon my prison stand and help me quell this rivalry. I was naked then, I am naked now. And my nakedness is my sole account. I'm unfaithfulness, I'm a fucking clown. But I tried my best, yes I tried. I'm a selfish kind of person with a soul that just won't die. Defying laws of Mother Nature. Help me see beyond the line.
Today is the beginning of the end and the start of a new beginning. Time has come to refine yourself and let go of the demons in your head that have held you in captivity for so long. It's time to flip the page and prove them wrong. trying to bring you down. In the blink of an eye, you'll realize that there's so much more to the book than the page you were stuck on. Finally, you will be free to live a life you love living instead of the life you think other people want you to live. Remember, you're the highest authority when it comes to knowing what you want and what you love. So stop trading yourself for the approval from others. Ladies and gentlemen, weirdos and geeks, please repeat after me. I don't give a fuck.
Scream at me?
Where's
you
the money?
Fuck you. Look at you with your fucking 48% body fat and